Welcome to Rocky Mountain Reflections Photography. I'm Andy Cook. When I first started shooting digital, I thought post-processing should last about 5 minutes or less. Otherwise, I was doing something wrong in the field. Well, that has changed. The more I've learned about digital shooting and post-processing, the more I've come to understand how limited my thinking used to be. I had a mindset that was created by shooting positive film, slide film. When we shot slide film, we couldn't do any post-processing. Everything about the image was created in the field, and there were serious limitations with what we could capture. These videos range in length from about 15 minutes to 1 hour. They are not scripted. They're an unfiltered look at watching my workflow. So there'll be little hiccups here and there. That's all part of the process and what we did on intention to show you what the workflow feels like. In this video series, I make some assumptions about the viewer's abilities with Photoshop. This is not really meant for beginners, as I do not necessarily describe every keyboard stroke or mouse click that I'm doing. Bear in mind that this is my current workflow. I'm demonstrating how I'm processing images now. In the past, my processing workflow looked different, and I'm certain that in the future my workflow will also evolve as our technology and software evolves. Okay, now let's get started with how I handle my images after capturing them in the field in the camera. Well, get back to the hotel room, take it out of the camera, download the images to the laptop. After they're downloaded to the laptop, I back them up on an external portable hard drive. From there, I actually put this hard drive back in my camera bag so that in case something happens to my laptop back in the hotel room, I still have my images with me. So often when I'm out in the field, I actually want to do some processing on my laptop. So I might actually modify the images a little bit, get a starting point for when I get home. I kind of know what I was thinking when I was taking pictures. So when I get home, I get a large external hard drive connected to the laptop and download images to that external hard drive. And I often do a little bit more processing and looking and messing around with them for a while. And after I get done with that, I then back up to another external hard drive that I keep at home, and to a third external hard drive that I keep off-site in a safety deposit box. When that's done, I feel comfortable going ahead and clearing the images off of the laptop. One of the things about post-processing is that when you're processing images one day, you may find that, oh, these are the 5 images out of this series I really, really like. But if you were to come back a year later and look at those same images, you might pick out a few more images from that folder that, oh my gosh, I didn't appreciate that image before, I like it a lot now. So processing is something that's going to actually take several months to maybe even a year. In my case, I often start processing and then finish reviewing that folder about 2 years later when I'm certain that all my emotional connection has been removed from the time of capture. Now we'll go to screen capture for the rest of the introduction. By the way, these videos should be viewed in sequence from the earliest to the latest because we've done some actions in the first couple of videos that we apply very frequently in the later videos, and you'll want to see how we set those up. Okay, let's take a moment and show you how I have things laid out on my computer. So let's go back into computer. What we have here is raw primary drive 2 and raw primary drive, 1. This is where I store my raw files at home. These are not backups of each other. This one just filled up, so I added this one. So let's run into here and show you how I have these organized. And we'll go into primary images. Basically, the way I organize my images are by state, and then I break down inside of there. For example, here's Death Valley, Colorado autumn. So this is how I organize my images. I don't feel like I need any more of a complex system than this, by state and then broken down by categories from there. Go ahead and close this down and bring up Adobe Bridge. And then I can use Bridge to browse back into those folders. For example, computer, and I come over here to raw primary 2, drive back into here,
and then here are these folders. Okay, as a reminder, I've arranged Bridge for my taste in this fashion. These are all things that I showed you how to do in our first video series, Photoshop Instruction for Landscape Photographers. This is how I like to have mine set up. If you're curious about how this is done or don't know how to do this, go ahead and get that first video series. Now I'm going to show you how I have Photoshop laid out. Okay, this is how I like to have my Photoshop workspace laid out. I did save this as a particular workspace. And again, if you want to see how to do this or you're not familiar with how to do this, go ahead and refer back to that first video series we did. Sometimes during these videos in this series, I'm going to be pressing some keyboard shortcuts and tapping on the keyboard, not necessarily explaining everything that I'm doing at that moment in time. If I press the tab key on, the side panels will go away. To bring them back, I simply press the tab key one more time and I toggle them back. If I toggle the side panels away with the tab key, I can bring back just the top toolbar with the press on the enter key. These are the instructions for any particular tool that may be open at the time. Additionally, let's go ahead and open up an image. So we'll come over here to File, Open. Any old image will do. Now, often you'll see me zooming in with the scroll wheel. And I won't necessarily say that I'm doing so, or zooming out by just using the scroll wheel and the mouse. This is set up in Preferences, so Image, Edit, Preferences, General, and all I've done to make that happen is zoom with the scroll wheel. Check that on. So many times you'll hear me thumping on the keyboard. I'm hoping that'll be a useful audio clue for you for knowing when I'm actually using the keyboard. Enjoy the videos.